Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw another shape. We're going to draw a more complex shape here. So let's draw this shape here, shape F. Okay, so we're going to start off with the sketch of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw this side view, and then we're going to extrude one cube out. And this will make sense as we draw. But let's first draw, remember, these cubes are, we're going to say they're 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch. So what we'll do is we'll go back to Onshape. We can create a new sketch. Every shape should have its own sketch. So in the same drawing, you can have multiple sketches. So what I'm going to do is, again, hit Sketch. I'm going to draw everything on the front plane. And again, I can hit N for normal 2 or hit the view cube, the front plane button in the view cube. Now, I don't want it next to it. I mean, next to it, not on top of it. But I'm going to draw this shape. So we're going to draw this shape here. So let's start with the front profile. So I hit Sketch. We're on the plane. I'm going to take my line tool. And I want to draw it in reference to this origin. So I just highlight over the origin point and move over. Now, the shape we're trying to create looks something like this. Make sure your lines are all vertical. And horizontal. We'll add the dimensions after. So we have our lines now. We have to define them. They're not all defined, right? I could move these around. So I'm going to right click, escape the line tool. So now we're free to move around. Now they're blue, meaning I could click and drag these and move them around. We want to lock these in place with the correct dimensions. So looking at our drawing, we're going to define these. So there's 2 blocks here by 2 blocks. So I'm going to click the dimension tool, D on the keyboard, or click up here. Now what I do is click in between the points or the specific line. So I click and drag. This will be 2, enter. The bottom line will be 2, enter as well. And then we know the width of the cubes is 1 inch. So I'm going to make sure these are each 1 inch. This is 1 inch. Now everything will be almost fully defined. We still have some blue lines. So that means if I right click, escape, we still can move this sketch back and forth. What we need to do is define the origin. So I'm just going to click the dimension tool. It doesn't matter the specific distance. I'm just going to click from one point to the origin. And whatever that is, if you want it to be equal spacing, you can. Maybe I want it 4 inches away. Just give it some dimension, and that will lock it in space. Otherwise, it's just floating in space. So we want to define it somewhere in space. So again, I just defined this point to the origin and gave that a dimension of 4, just somewhere where it's not too close to that, but not too so far away that you can't see it on the same plane. Okay, so I'm going to rename this, call this shape 2, green check mark. And now I'm going to extrude this. So I hit Shift E or the extrude button in the toolbar. Remember, it's new. The depth is 1, and I'm going to click extrude until that comes out 1. And I'm going to rename this first. This is going to be shape 2. And hit the green check mark. Great. So we have part of our shape. Now, if we look at this, we have this cube sticking out. This is easy enough. So what we can do is go back to your Onshape drawing. I'm going to look at front view. So I need to draw a square right here. So what I'm going to do is click on the surface because I want to create a sketch on this surface. And now what I'm going to do is go up to the extrude button, click extrude. Now we're going to add. You'll notice it already knows we want to add to this drawing, this part. But what I want to do is I can do one of 2 things. I could just draw a line, but I think what I'm going to do is draw a rectangle. So if I click, again, sorry, let me repeat that. I'm going to click here, click sketch, not extrude, click sketch. It knows you want to sketch on this plane, on this surface here. So what I'm going to do is grab a rectangle to the corner rectangle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this end here. I'm just going to click and drag that over to this end, and it will lock in place. We basically want to create a 1x1 cube. All the lines should turn black because they're referencing the geometry of the other piece. And then what we're going to do is now, while we're still in the sketch, we can hit the extrude button. And it already knows it's going to click that. We want the depth to be 1 inch. And now it's not a new part. We want to add this, right? So we're adding this to part 2. 1 inch looks good to go. And I hit the green check mark, and you'll see it blends it in place. So now I have my extrude here, my sketch 1. I'm going to rename. I won't even bother renaming that for this part purpose, but I will rename the part here. So we have this is shape 2. So we have 2 completed shapes within one drawing set.